Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Beskar Bucket. Today, you got just me. I'm just going solo at this one. I wanted to get an episode out, though it may be short. I can't talk to myself for too long, but today I wanted to talk about Andor. And since we have a new trailer out, at least the day after this, it came out the day before this recording, so not quite sure when I'm gonna put this one out. Should be within the next few days, though. But I did just want to talk about that briefly and kind of give my thoughts and my expectations and excitement for it. So I've got the trailer playing here on my other monitor to give me a bit of inspiration. So if I do kind of ramble, I do apologize. I got no one to keep me on track today. So, but the first thing I wanted to talk about was the news coming out that they shot everything on location for this show. Nothing was shot on the volume screen. So I was kind of surprised about that, to be honest. I figured going forward, Disney would want to do everything on the volume for the sake of, I would assume it's cheaper to do everything on the volume as opposed to shooting on location. But I am very excited to see some nice on location shots finally. It's been a while since we've seen anything in Star Wars that's really been primarily on location. So I'm excited to see. It looks like from the trailer, there's going to be a lot of wooded area, a lot of forest. Not quite sure exactly what the planets are, but it'll be definitely interesting to see. You know, like I said, the on location always feels different. But yeah, so I wanted to touch on that a little bit before I got into anything else. Just kind of going through the trailer here. I do have a couple of notes here for those who are watching the video portion. I've just got my legal notepad sheet here. The first thing that really stuck out to me is I did not realize what Stellan Skarsgård role was. I haven't done a lot of research going into this show. Because it's one of those things where this is the first thing that I really want to be surprised by. I still watch the trailers. I keep up with the news, like the behind the scenes news, but I'm trying to keep the story more or less unspoiled for me, which is definitely a stretch for me if you know me at all. But yeah, it feels like just from the trailers and what we've seen thus far that Stellan Skarsgård's character seems to be like kind of a mentor to Cassian and kind of the person to drag him into the fold in the rebellion. So definitely I love his character in the Marvel movies. So which really is don't crucify me for this, but that's really the only frame of reference I have for him. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see that relationship. It seems like they've got a very tough love relationship from what we've seen in the trailers thus far. But I thoroughly am looking forward to seeing him in the Star Wars universe, because I know he's a great actor, even though I haven't seen him in a whole lot. I've heard enough by proxy to understand that he's an excellent actor. So it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes with that. And again, just seeing the backstory of Cassian is something that intrigued me ever since, the of course you've got the line of, I've been in this fight since I was 6 years old. So I think that kind of piqued the interest of everyone to see, like, oh, well, let's see what actually happened in all that time. So I'm really interested to see, Cassian when he was young. I'm curious to see if they're going to do it kind of like they did with the Book of Boba Fett, where a lot of it's flashbacks just sprinkled in throughout the story, if they're going to tell it, in a linear fashion. But being that it was delayed and we're getting the first 3 episodes, that's what kind of makes me hope that it's going to be like, okay, let's pack all of the younger Cassian, the pre-Diego Luna stuff in the first episode. Maybe even the first half of the first episode, or, even if it's 3 episodes, I'm not really going to complain about it. But, now that we're getting 3 episodes since they delayed it 3 weeks, it'll be. I'm hoping to see everything linear. But that being said, I'm not going to be disappointed if we got to wait 2-3 episodes to see Diego Luna again, just because I'm very confident in myself saying that this is going to be probably. I'm a shill for the Mandalorian. Obviously, I've got a podcast named after him, but I think this is going to be one of the best Disney Plus shows, and maybe even some of the best Star Wars content. Just because this is an area or an era that hasn't really been explored too terribly much, especially not with like the everyman aspect of it. Because if you think, a lot of the rebellion is just your average citizens just going up against the Empire and finally taking a stand. So I'm very interested to see their approach to the kind of the universe here. So it'll be. I'm very excited for Andor. I'm gonna say that a lot, just a heads up. So yeah. The one thing though that I am surprised is they were not able to get Alan Tudyk back for season 1. I figured since K2SO is the best character and the fan favorite from Rogue One, I thought they would have found a way to write him in, and they may have written him into the first season of Andor, but be that scheduling conflicts or what have you. I haven't heard anything as to why he won't be in it. I've only heard that he's not in the first season, which is very disappointing. But like I said, I'm very confident they know what they're doing with this one, so I'm not judging it quite yet. But I will definitely miss the sarcastic K2SO in this. But yeah, the one thing I will say I'm excited for a return though is Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. Haven't seen her character since Rogue One, and I've got a very strong feeling that we're going to get a whole lot more of her. And I love seeing her come back in really anything, because it ties the continuity together so well, just to see, because she looks so much like the original actress that played Mon Mothma in Return of the Jedi. So I'm very excited to see her back. It looks like she's going to have a really big role in the Imperial Senate, which we got shots of in the newest trailer. So clearly they must have done their work and repaired the Senate building from Yoda and the Emperor's duel in Revenge of the Sith. So I am very excited to see her character return, and hopefully we see a lot of plotting behind the scenes kind of stuff, because I think that's one thing that really isn't explored too well. I mean, yeah, you've got Rogue One where they have to steal the plans for the Death Star, but it doesn't feel like it feels like a heist movie light. So it didn't scratch that like heist movie itch for me. Like, it wasn't like an Ocean's 11. It wasn't a whole lot of plotting. It was just like, okay, we got to go here to get this, to do that. Don't get me wrong, fantastic movie, still one of my favorite Star Wars movies, but it was kind of pitched like a heist movie, and it didn't land on that aspect for me. So I'm hoping we still get kind of that underground heist-y-esque feel in Andor, because the opening line from the newest trailer was, how do you steal from the Empire? You just pretend like you're already there. And that's kind of what leads me to believe that it's going to be a more of a heist-esque show. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that's going to be the main thread. I think it's going to be just a part of it, stealing from the Empire to build the rebellion, sort of like what we see in Rebels when they steal the what was it, the freighter, I think. I don't know, it's been a while since I've seen Rebels, but I certainly hope that we get kind of the same feel that I thought I was going to get going into Rogue One, if that makes any sense. I want a heist. I want them to steal things, but I want to see them plan it ahead of time. I don't know why. That's one of the very few things in heist movies, like the Ocean's movies. Those are the scenes that really get me, is like, okay, what do we have to do? Well, you've got to do this, and I have to do this, but they have to do that as well. I don't know. I like seeing the plans come together, like Hannibal from the A-Team. But yeah, so I hope that I really really hope that's something that we get going into Andor. I think it's I think they're going to pull it off really well. But like I was saying, Mon Mothma kind of pulling the strings in the Senate while also um, leading the rebellion in an essence. I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to see. Because again, we haven't seen that before. We haven't really seen the plotting behind the scenes and up front in the main hall. So I think, seeing Mon Mothma and I really hope they can get they got Jimmy Smits back for Bail Organa. I haven't heard anything if he's going to be in it or not. Like I said, I've been trying to avoid a lot of the story stuff. But Jimmy Smits is another one that I would love to see come back, and see him also kind of plotting with Mon Mothma, even if it's just a cameo. I don't expect him to be a massive part of the story, but it would be really nice to see him come back and kind of, at the same time pull those strings and see, what exactly he can be doing whilst, Cassian and the rest of the rebellion is fighting the upfront war while they're fighting the war behind the scenes, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma. But I'm super excited to see the clones back in live action. We've really only gotten a glimpse of live action clones in the Book of Boba Fett, in the flashbacks with Grogu, and then in the flashbacks with Anakin in the Order 66 scenes of Obi-Wan. But it seems like we're gonna get at least a handful of clones in this series. I hope it's not just like a 5-minute cameo, but at the end of the day, hey, any clones for me is a good thing. So seeing that kind of we saw a little bit of that in the Bad Batch, where they're switching from TK or from clones to TKs. But the other thing is you see, just regular old TKs. You see regular stormtroopers in this. You don't see those, like, I call them the concept art stormtroopers, but the ones from the Bad Batch, where they're like the pre-stormtrooper armor. But we do see there. We've seen a couple of scenes of clones, so maybe we'll get some cameos from some known clones. Maybe a Cody, but I don't know what exactly is going on with him at this time. If that would fit into the story. But yeah, I'm a shill for clones. So if we get more than a flashback of some clone troopers, I'm going to be a happy camper. It seems like there's a lot of them too, and they're just shinies. They're not, they're not 501st or they're not 212th or any of that. So, it'll be the first time we've seen a non 501st live action costume, which that's really big for me, because they were all computer generated in the prequel trilogy, so we never saw real clone armor. It was all mocapped. So seeing some shiny clone trooper costumes is going to be definitely a big thing for me. But yeah, I want to know what time period that would be, because in the time of the Bad Batch, they were already phasing out the clones. And like I said, you see TKs, like TK stormtroopers in parts of the trailer. So I really want to know how far this is going to span, and if clone troopers are still around, 3, 4, 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, why was it in the Bad Batch that, we had TKs already? And I think it was less than a year past Revenge of the Sith. The timeline on the Bad Batch is still kind of fuzzy for me. So, but yeah, I'm very excited to see the clones again. But speaking of the Bad Batch, I do have a note here for the delay. I know I touched on it a few minutes ago, but being that Andor got pushed back to September 21st, I'm very curious to see what they do with the Bad Batch, because the Bad Batch was supposed to premiere on the 28th of September. and I know Disney does not like their stuff to overlap. So I mean, that's very evident with the Marvel shows. They at least have a 2 or 3 week break in between. But that being said, Andor was going to overlap with the Bad Batch no matter what, because it was supposed to debut on August 31st. So that's only an extra 3 weeks, and Andor is supposed to be 12 episodes long. So we're getting 3 months of Andor, or well, 3 months worth of Andor. I believe the original plan was to release 2 episodes. Now it's 3 on the 21st. But I'm curious to see what they're going to do with the Bad Batch, because I feel like at this point they almost have to push it back at least 3 weeks, so you're not having this massive overlap between the two shows. So, I don't know what they're gonna do. I hope that it doesn't get pushed back too far. I really don't want to wait all the way into the early winter, to see the Bad Batch season 2. But we will have Andor to kind of keep us held over until we do finally get it. I don't think they're going to push it back all the way to the end, because that really wouldn't make sense to push it back. I mean, that would be what, 9 weeks? Well, I guess it would be 8 weeks, but yeah, it would not make sense to me if they were to push back the Bad Batch all that time just to wait for Andor to be over, because then you're going to start pushing back everything else in your schedule if you really don't want them to overlap that much. Because I mean, you got to remember, I think Visions comes out early next year. I know the Mandalorian's going to be out. If they were to push it back 9 weeks, because I think they're aiming for February for the 3rd season of the Mandalorian. Yeah, because the Bad Batch is 16 episodes, so, and they're only, I believe they're still doing it week to week. So I'd be shocked if they did like a 2 or a 3 episode premiere, like they've been doing for, like they did for Obi-Wan, like they did for Andor, and some of the Marvel shows. But it'll definitely be interesting to see what they do with that. So yeah, just kind of, I guess now we just gotta kind of wait and see what they're doing with that, and let's pray that it doesn't get pushed back too far, because I'm very excited to see Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, Omega, Crosshair, and Echo back. So I probably missed one of them. I think I did. I don't know who I missed. Anyway, but yeah, I am excited for the Bad Batch season 2 as well. I mean, I'm excited for all Star Wars that's coming out. I don't really care what it is, but I think the first season of the Bad Batch was a home run and a half. So I'm excited to see him back. I can't say that I'm not. But another thing that I wanted to kind of gauge interest in, or not interest, but gauge thoughts on, was there's a scene in the newest trailer of a shipyard, and it really reminded me of Braca from Jedi Fallen Order, the chop fields, where when in the game you see they're cutting off the wing of a Venator Star Destroyer. So it looks an awful lot like that. A lot of the rigging and the machinery look very, very much like what we saw on Braca. So I mean, I'm probably way off the mark here, but I mean, could we see Cal Kestis, just as a quick cameo? We don't know how long he was there. We don't know what the time period is like, but it would be interesting to see if we just got a quick cameo from Prague or Cal from the introduction to the Jedi Fallen Order. I think that would seriously get people going, because I know they're trying to get a Cal Kestis show or a Cal Kestis movie off the ground as well, to kind of bring him. I think it's Dominic Monaghan, I think his name is, but the actor who plays Cal Kestis, to bring him into live action and start building that character outside of the video games, because obviously not everyone has access to play video games. So I think they want to bring that character out of that realm exclusively. So, but hey, I'm all for Cal. I'm excited to see him in any way, shape, or form, because the Jedi Fallen Order game was fantastic, and I would play it again if I had the time. But yeah, so I that again, that might be me just totally shooting in the dark, but you know, it's us Star Wars fans. We can definitely keep our head up. Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to remind you guys about the Unifying Fandom Network, where me and several other podcasts, being the Inflatable Falcon and the Forces Behind Star Wars podcasts, we are all together under the same umbrella. There is a new episode of the Forces Behind Star Wars out, where the Rad Batch all discuss the Kenobi series, and then the Inflatable Falcon is live Wednesdays at around 8 to 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you guys go ahead and go check those out. And then as soon as you're done listening to this one, so we've got backlogs of all the shows, so you got plenty to listen to. So yeah, go check out the Inflatable Falcon and the Forces Behind Star Wars. So sorry to interrupt. Let's go ahead and get back to the rest of the show. But another person that might show up, or well, that is showing up, that I'm excited for is Saw Gerrera. Seeing Forrest Whitaker back, that was a shock to me in the most recent trailer. I did not think that he was going to be able, or he was going to be willing to come back. And that's for no other reason that I'm very cynical, and I don't think many of the people have enjoyed their time on Star Wars. But again, that's me being extremely cynical and not being very optimistic. But yeah, the quick scene with Saw Gerrera was very, very powerful. I mean, I believe Cassian's line was "Call it what you will," and Saw just, well, let's call it war. You know, it's very, it's nice to see that Saw has, you know, had his edge and his, you know, this readiness to fight, you know, for a very long time. It seems like, because you saw a lot of that in Rogue One, but that it had more turned to paranoia than it had turned to, you know, than it was, you know, readiness to fight. But yeah, any Forrest Whitaker is good Forrest Whitaker, especially seeing him as Saw Gerrera. So again, he's one of those characters that I would have never thought, you know, okay, that's the one that's going to keep showing up. Because I mean, he was in the Clone Wars. He was originally from the Clone Wars. Then we see him in Rogue One. Now we see him in Rebels and Andor. And I might have gotten, I don't know if he was in Rogue One before he was in Rebels, but either or. Yeah, I would have never pegged him to be the character that would just show up randomly in some of these shows. But I'm curious to see if he's still got his foot in this one. I always thought it was an interesting look to see him with that like pirate-esque look with his one robotic foot. And you know, with the technology that is available in Star Wars, it was always weird to me that it was just one of those like hinged at the middle, like flat pieces of metal, as opposed to like a anatomically correct metal foot. Just one of the odd choices, but I mean, it makes sense. You know, if you're living in the shadows from the Empire and you're trying your best not to be seen, it checks for him to just kind of have these like rinky dink like droid parts that you can get without, you know, making a big scene. But yeah, Saw is and always will be one of my favorite characters, just because of what he does and who he is as a character. I always just thought the nuance of him has always just intrigued me. So I'm very excited to see him come back and again, hopefully in a larger role. But I know I keep saying this. I want Mon Mothma, I want Saw Gerrera, and I'd like to see Cal Kestis, but I'm fully aware that, you know, I'm probably not going to get all my wishes, and one of these is probably going to be just like a bit of a cameo. But I definitely I want the show to focus on Andor, and it's funny, I haven't even really talked about Cassian Andor in this episode yet, but Diego Luna is, I mean, from what we've seen thus far, he's absolutely going to crush it again. I mean, he was phenomenal in Rogue One. I'm confident he's going to be phenomenal in this. And I'm excited. Diego Luna is again a fantastic actor who's gonna absolutely crush this. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Um, and it's gonna be nice to see Cassian kind of grow up a little because this is supposed to take place over a couple years. What years those are is yet to be seen as far as I'm aware, but I'm very excited to see him, kind of grow into this like almost leadership role, like kind of a pseudo leadership role. I don't know if he was actually ever a leader in the rebellion, in a formal aspect, but yeah, I'm very excited to see him as kind of step into this larger world of the rebellion and like, oh, you can actually do something about the treachery that's being caused throughout the empire. um but yeah, so it'll be fun to see him come back again. Sadly, it's not going to be with his sarcastic sidekick in K2, but he's apparently getting, like, it almost looks like a cross between like a gonk droid and an R2 unit and an astromech droid. As a sidekick, we get one quick glimpse of it in the trailer. It literally just looks like a little red box. But they kind of spoiled that one. Oh, excuse me. In the trailer, or excuse me, in the toy releases for Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. But yeah, the other thing that I'm really really curious to see what they do with is, I kind of touched on it, is how, like, yeah, we know Cassian is this I don't want to say cold-blooded, but he's a freedom fighter. I want to see how he goes from an innocent, presumably 6-year-old, to this never say die freedom fighter in the rebellion. I again, that's not something that you see too often, or that we haven't seen too often yet. Is okay, how do we get from point A to point B when it comes to the rebellion? I think the closest you got to that was Ezra, but he was still old enough to realize like what the empire was doing was bad. So I'm curious to see if they're gonna take the approach of okay, it's Cassian doesn't really, he's too young to really understand what's going on, and he's gonna be surrounded by some people that kind of tell him like, look, this isn't how things should be, this isn't how things were. So you can either pick up a rock and fight with us, or you can cower behind and let the world go to shit, so to speak. So I'm very excited to see that. But yeah, I think Andor is going to be a phenomenal show. If I haven't made that clear enough. Again, sad that it got delayed a little bit, but at the end of the day, we're going to get 3 episodes on the day of launch, which kind of sucks for me personally, because I work Wednesdays, and I always hated that they switched from Fridays to Wednesdays, because I have Fridays off. So that's always been a bit of a bummer for me. But I've usually been able to get them in and be able to wake up at 3 and watch them all as soon as watch the episode as soon as they drop and get back to bed. But for Andor, it's going to be a little difficult to squeeze it all 3. Oh, excuse me. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. It's only 7:30, at least when I'm recording this. But yeah, so the 3 episodes is going to be a little bit difficult for me to watch all at once, but I'm sure I'll manage. I'll just be a little tired for work the next day. But the other thing that really really excites me, and it's not really anything story-wise, it's just some of the costumes and the props that we've seen so far have really looked fantastic. Being someone who has got, I don't want to say a customer's background, because what I'm doing is nowhere on par with some of the things that other people that I know are doing. And that might be me just being my own worst critic, but I do not think very highly of my own costumes in comparison to those of what others have done. But seeing some of these have really, inspired, at least in some capacity, given me some sort of inspiration to do some of the costumes for this show. Ugh. Wow. I don't know why this is just hitting me like a freight train right now, but Yeah, even some of Cassian's costumes, or even some of like the background characters, again, like I said, that kind of everyman, or the denizen, if you will. Seeing some of those characters in those costumes that are really just well put together, and they really explain kind of like the depth of what the universe is like at that time, where you've got these like ragtag clothes of they're not like the clean cut uniforms of what you see in the Empire, which I'm getting off topic, but I love the white uniforms for the officers. When director Krennic first debuted, I hadn't seen Rebels yet, so I wasn't, and I've been very clear about this. I'm not a book reader. I do not read to save my life. But it was really the first time that I saw a white officer's uniform, and I don't know why. It really stuck out to me. I think it looks very crisp. It looks very clean, and it's one of the, in my opinion, at least one of the best looking costumes for the Empire, as compared to like the olive gray or the black uniforms that we are accustomed to seeing. But we see a lot of the white uniforms in this, and I really want to know what their role is, and I'm sure I'll find out at some point, be that from the show or from the 501st or what have you. But their rank badges. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Again, it's only the 740 now, but I don't know why this is hitting me so hard. But yeah, we see, who was it? He played Qyburn in Game of Thrones. But same actor, but obviously in Star Wars now. His uniform is really the one that sticks out to me. And there's a female officer. Oh my god, am I gonna be able to get through the rest of this without yawning? Oh my god. But there's a female officer with a very like, it didn't give me that same vibe as like the rest of like the Imperial officer uniforms. It more so resembles, at least in my mind, that of the First Order, because she's wearing like an overcoat over her uniform, and I don't know if it's like a full trench coat or if it's just like a regular jacket. But just like the very angular corners and the very pressed look to it, just kind of reminded me that of like General Hux's coat from the sequel trilogy. So I'm loving the look of these costumes. Oh my gosh. This is gonna sound awful in the back half of this. And I am very sorry. But yeah, I think the look of the Imperial officer costumes have looked fantastic. And we're going to see a very different side of the Empire, because it's not going to be like your Darth Vaders or your even, the Emperor or your Grand Moff Tarkin. I feel like it's going to be a lot of like the errand boys, kind of like Agent Kallus was in Rebels. So again, kind of that same deal where it's like, you don't see that a whole lot. It's always these, high level threats where, it's the top of the food chain almost. But I feel like a lot of these guys are just going to be like, they're not high up. They're officers, but they're not like the officers. They're the boardroom guys from A New Hope, or they're the people standing behind the guy getting choked by Darth Vader. So, yeah, I'm curious. Again, I'm curious about the show. I'm interested and I'm curious. I'm going to say it 1,000 times. I don't know what else I can even say. I'm very interested to see what they do with this show, because it's not something we've seen before that's been explored, at least on screen. So I think what they're doing looks fantastic. I'm very, very hyped for this show. And yeah, it looks amazing I mean, just I'm kind of just watching the trailer go by without any sound, but it's very gritty, it's very real, and I'm I'm very surprised they're taking such a deep look into the the Imperial senators like Mon Mothma, and it looks like Stellan Skarsgård character is in the Senate as well, because there's a couple of scenes of him, putting on the fancy clothes and whatnot. So again, I'm shocked they're going what appears to be that deep into that. But again, that's a very important part of the rebellion, because again, I'm pulling quotes from the trailer. Like Mon Mothma said, if people just think I'm what was the phrasing? An annoyance, maybe? Oh boy. I know where it's at. Sorry. An irritation. If everyone thinks I'm an irritation, maybe they'll miss what I'm really doing. So I think that line in particular is very, very powerful for what they're building in this show. Of, they don't know really what's going on. They may think they have an understanding, but in reality, they have no idea. So I think that what they're doing is gonna be spectacular. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really pumped to see what's gonna go down in this. Oh, and the Death Troopers, another sect that I never thought I would see again. I thought the Death Troopers were just like Director Krennic's special unit. So I'm baffled that we see them in such a prominent role in this trailer with the rest of the troopers. Yeah, because when I saw them for the first time, I don't remember if they were in the first trailer or not. I'm sure they probably were, but I must have just forgotten. But I was really taken aback. I was like, wow, Death Troopers, I mean, they've got the costumes. I mean, you may as well use them, but it was just in my own headcanon where it was like I thought that was just a like Director Krennic's special forces unit, his special enforcers. So yeah, another group that I'm really excited to see. I think the Death Troopers were one of the, again, like cannon fodder in at its deepest of deep cores. They were never going to be like setting the world on fire with what they were doing, but they it's interesting to think about. Like, you've got these elite forces in the ranks of the stormtroopers that they have to they speak in code, if you will, so you can't you don't know what they're saying, and I think that kind of jarbled up speech was very very cool in Rogue One. So yeah, pumped to see the Death Troopers back. I'm really excited to see Cassian get back in action, because I mean, I fell in love with the character from his very first scene, when you see him have to shoot his own friend in the back in order to keep the rebellion alive, to know what's going on, and be able to fight the good fight. So hopefully we see a lot more of that in Andor. Well, hopefully we see a lot more of the good fight, not so much the unfortunate demise of friends of the main character. But I'm sure we'll have those scenes too, and they're going to be as heart-wrenching as all get out. Because that's what Disney does. They like to make us upset. Why do you think they keep replaying Order 66 in every single thing that they get the chance to? I guarantee you we're probably going to see an Order 66 scene in this. If I had to venture a guess, I would say that you're going to the one of the opening scenes is going to be, there's a Jedi on whatever planet Cassian's on. And again, I'm probably shooting this is probably a shot in the dark. I'm probably grasping at nothing here. But knowing Disney's MO, they want to get an Order 66 scene in. Because it gets people going. Everyone loves to see the Order 66 scenes, and everyone hates to see Order 66 scenes because they're so goddamn emotional. Every time. It can be with characters we've never met or never cared about. I mean, look at Jedi Fallen Order. We had no idea who. Oh my God! I just had his name. Oh Jesus, Cal's Master. I don't remember his character's name, but oh, that's gonna bug me. Charles Pepple. Yeah, like we had no idea who he was. We saw a few flashbacks in the training montages from the game, but even his death was heart wrenching. It was just a shot in the gut. To see that, and it was again. I'm getting on a soapbox here, but Disney loves to put in the Order 66 scenes. But I guarantee you, one of the first scenes or a flashback scene at some point, there's going to be the clones. Or it's going to be clone troopers on whatever planet. There's going to be a Jedi, defending from the CIS in the Separatists on whatever planet, and Order 66 is going to hit, and Cassian's going to watch a Jedi get gunned down. I bet. I'd put my money on it. I'm not saying like he's going to be interacting with them. I'm just saying that he's probably just going to watch a Jedi get gunned down. And that might step on the canon a little bit, because did Cassian know about the Jedi in Rogue One? Oh, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen it, so my brain is kind of foggy on it. I've got the memory of a goldfish. I swear to God, there's nothing going on behind these eyes a lot of the times. If it wasn't like 10 minutes ago, I don't remember it. But it's just probably a problem. It'll be fine. Anyway, but yeah, it's. I would put money on that. In some capacity, there is at least going to be a mention of Order 66 in the show at any point. And it's even if it's not Cassian, it's going to be Mon Mothma. Well, the your troopers gunned down thousands of Jedi. Blah blah blah. Or I watched our Jedi generals get gunned down in the streets of XYZ. So it's Disney's got an MO. Tell me I'm wrong. We've seen Order 66 and everything but The Mandalorian so far. And even that, I would argue that we saw it in the Mandalorian universe, in the same vein of The Mandalorian. Because The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and what was the other? Oh, Rangers of the New Republic, but that got canceled. They're all in the Mandalorian universe or sphere. So I'm counting that as we've seen it in everything they've done so far, at least with the shows. So I'm putting money on it. I'm calling it right now. Date it. There's going to be an Order 66 scene/reference in Andor. They love using it. Tell me I'm wrong. But yeah. Well, I don't want to ramble on too long. This is already longer than I anticipated it to be. But yeah, I'm super pumped for Andor. I'm really excited to see everyone come back from Rogue One and the prequels that are in it. Specifically, Cassian, Mon Mothma, and Saw Gerrera. Those are the big three that I'm excited for to come back and see what they do. But yeah, so I've got really high hopes for this show. I'm not going to be disappointed. I know a lot of people want me to say that, oh, if it doesn't have, XYZ happen, I'm not watching Star Wars anymore. That's not who I am. I'm going to love the show. I may not love it as much as some other things, but I know I'm going to love the show. And you know why? Because it's goddamn Star Wars. That's why. And I love everything that comes out that is Star Wars. So I'm pumped for the show. I think it's going to be fantastic. But yeah, so Andor comes out in a month and a half now. It was a month, but now it's a month and a half. So, which sucks. It really sucks. But it is what it is. I know it's going to be well worth the wait. I know those first 3 episodes are going to be, just fantastic, phenomenal, off the wall kind of stuff. So I'm super, super excited for Andor. And yeah, I'm not, I don't know what else to say. I know I'm not going to be disappointed with it. If I am, I'll eat my own words, and you can come back here and tell me, oh, I told you so. It wasn't great, and you don't like it, but it's I'm very, very easy to please when it comes to Star Wars. You really gotta mess something up for me to dislike it. So, but yeah, Andor. Those are my thoughts. Those are my post trailer thoughts. So, you know, hey, hit me up on TikTok at John Scalise, JOHNSCALISE. Hit me up. Let me know what you think of Andor. I'm recording live right now. I don't know. Again, I don't know when this video is going to be up, or this recording is going to be up, but I know it'll still be in a time frame where it's relevant. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of Andor. Either drop it in the comments of this video if you're watching it on YouTube. If you're listening to the podcast, just hit me up on the on my TikTok page and let me know if you're excited for Andor. What are you hoping to see? What are you hoping to get out of it? And are you going to be disappointed if you don't see something? I hope not. It's Star Wars. We all, at the end of the day, we got to remember, more Star Wars is good Star Wars. Because there were times, I know obviously I wasn't alive for it, but from 83 to 99 there was nothing. You had a couple Ewok movies and a couple other spin-off stuff, but nothing really big like any of the stuff that we're getting now. We are spoiled rotten with a lot of the Star Wars stuff that's coming out. And I mean, even from 2005 to 2015 we had the Clone Wars, and that was really it. Be that the movie or the show. And, it's now we've got so much coming out where we don't just have to cling to one thing. So you got to remember, we're spoiled right now. We could be getting nothing. So let's all just remember, be grateful that Disney's even pumping out Star Wars content. We're getting something new every couple of months. So, and again, now we're going to start getting into the time when we're overlapping a little bit. Because I've got a feeling that, Andor is going to run over the Bad Batch. The Bad Batch, if depending on how long it gets pushed back, it's going to run over into the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian might run into Ahsoka. And so we got a lot of Star Wars coming out. So let's remember, keep our heads up. It's not all terrible. Nobody's after your childhood. So more Star Wars is good Star Wars. That's always my motto. But yeah. Beskar Bucket, episode 5 in the books. That's my thoughts on Andor. Make sure to watch the Inflatable Falcon podcast. We're live Wednesdays at 8. 8:30, I think. Yeah, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Just look up the Inflatable Falcon podcast on YouTube or Star Wars Geek Girl. That's usually where it's at. I have a link in my link tree for it if you need to find it. Go check out the newest episode of The Forces Behind Star Wars, where the Rad Batch, they're talking about Kenobi as a series, or the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So definitely make sure to check that out. Star Wars Geek Girl, I know Zoe's taking a bit of a hiatus because she's ramping up, getting ready to go back to school. Same with Lizzie. So, but go listen to the most recent episode that I was on. Zoe and I talked about the finale of Kenobi. A little late, but better late than never. So, yeah, go check out everyone. We're under the Unifying Fandom Network banner here, and we all love Star Wars. So if you like the Beskar Bucket, you're gonna like the Inflatable Falcon. If you like the Inflatable Falcon, you're gonna love the Forces Behind Star Wars. If you like the Forces Behind Star Wars, you're gonna love Star Wars Geek Girl. I don't know if they're officially under the banner yet or not, but we're all in the same circle, so may as well be. But yeah, if you like any of them, you're gonna like the rest of them. We're all pretty like-minded, and we're all pretty similar in our views here. So yeah, definitely go check out Beskar Bucket, Inflatable Falcon, Forces Behind Star Wars, and Star Wars Geek Girl. You got plenty of backlog for all of them except for my show, which is ironic. So yeah, if you're still with me here at the almost 50-minute mark of me just rambling to myself for almost an hour, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I know it's probably not the most exciting thing to listen to, especially when it's just me kind of going off the cuff here. But I appreciate you hanging out and listening to me. And yeah, find me on TikTok at John Scalise, Beskar Bucket, where podcasts can be found. Inflatable Falcon on YouTube, Wednesdays at 8. Forces Behind Star Wars, anywhere you can find podcasts, and Star Wars Geek Girl, wherever you find podcasts. So I appreciate you guys coming out. Have a great night, guys.